The superhero and comic books have really become a dominant force in in American popular culture, and certainly that raises issues of diversity. That raises issues of what type of representation are we going to have, or is this medium going to merely replay what we have seen in other mediums, whether it be in film or television, in terms of being exclusionary to people of color and of women, or painting them in a very narrow way. Well, my book, Super Black, American Pop Culture and Black Superheroes, is basically a rereading of the role and symbolism and metaphor that the black superhero has represented in the Marvel and DC comics. For example, Luke Cage is a figure that symbolized certainly black power towards the early to mid 1970s, but given how he originates and how he comes to become Power Man, that narrative in and of itself is in many ways a discussion around the prison reform movement in America, and a critique of the prison industrial complex in terms of its race and class biases. Many of these superheroes, if not all of them really, owe their existence to a civil rights movement and a black power movement. I mean, these movements fundamentally challenged and changed the way our popular consciousness could conceive of blackness. That is, these movements forced a reimagination of blackness. The emergence of these black superheroes at this particular time is a radical break from the history of black representation up to that point. I mean, we move from chauffeurs, maids, criminals, and comic relief, and dancers, to black men who can fly, to black women who can fly and control the powers of nature, right? I mean, this is a radical break. There have been all of these superhero adaptations, and we really haven't had any of the mainstream black characters having opportunity to be adapted for a film. However, there's Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. Nick Fury was a white superhero for like the last 45 years, primarily symbolic of American post-World War II militarism and space-age technology. Now, I would probably say at this point, people probably conceive of Nick Fury as Samuel L. Jackson. He now, in his persona, has come to embody who Nick Fury is. And so for a generation of people, they would think of Nick Fury as, the cool black guy with the eye patch. But there also was a film called The Green Lantern, and didn't star Will Smith, who in my mind, Will Smith or someone like him should have been the Green Lantern, because the Green Lantern is, of course, for many, John Stewart. And John Stewart is African American. So for a generation of people, John Stewart, the African American, was the Green Lantern. And so for some, they were like, well, who's Ryan Reynolds? Who's Hal Jordan? Where did this Green Lantern emerge from? So the verdict is still out for how Hollywood will decide to adapt the superheroes from the superhero universes, particularly of Marvel and DC. And hopefully they'll be more adventurous and more daring, or as daring as the medium that they're adapting.